If she never calls or texts you first, most men tell themselves it's just how she is. She's busy, she's shy, she's not a big texter. But here's the truth most people avoid. Silence is rarely accidental. It's a choice. And more importantly, the way you respond to that choice determines whether you're respected or slowly forgotten. This isn't about blaming her, and it's not about playing games. It's about understanding relationship dynamics and protecting your self-respect. Because when one person is always initiating, always checking in, always keeping the connection alive, something quietly breaks. Balance disappears, respect weakens, attraction fades. Many men make the same mistake. They try harder when effort isn't returned. They text more, call more, explain more, hoping consistency will eventually be appreciated. But psychology doesn't work that way. Overinvestment doesn't create value. It removes it. Today, I'm going to show you what you should actually do when she never calls or texts first. Not from anger, not from ego, but from clarity, strength, and self-respect. Each step you're about to hear is designed to protect your dignity, your peace of mind, and your time. Because the goal isn't to make her chase you. The goal is to never chase someone who isn't choosing you. This is where everything comes together. If she never calls or texts first, makes little effort to initiate, and you continue to stay, the issue is no longer her behavior. It's the standards you've accepted. A man who respects himself does not beg for attention. He doesn't tolerate neglect. He doesn't settle for one-sided connections and call them patience or understanding. He has standards and he lives by them. Raising your standards means deciding that mutual effort is non-negotiable. You stop entertaining connections where you give more than you receive. You stop chasing people who don't choose you back, not out of anger, but out of self-respect. This is where many men hesitate because they fear being alone. They worry that walking away means losing their only option, but that mindset is exactly what keeps them stuck. When you raise your standards, you don't lose opportunities. You filter them. The wrong people fall away, and the right ones naturally step forward. A woman who genuinely values you won't leave you guessing. She won't make you wonder where you stand. Her effort will feel natural, not forced. She'll reach out. She'll invest. You won't have to convince her of your worth. Raising your standards also sends a clear message about who you are. You're not desperate. You're not afraid to walk away from what doesn't serve you. And that calm confidence is deeply attractive. Ask yourself honestly, why am I accepting the bare minimum? Why am I justifying neglect? That isn't love, it's self-neglect. The moment you raise your standards, the dynamic changes. You stop chasing, you stop overthinking, and you start attracting people who see your value without being persuaded. Here's the biggest mistake men make when a woman never calls or texts first. They compensate for her silence. You wait. Nothing happens. Doubt creeps in. And instead of staying grounded, you step in to fill the gap. You send the good morning text. You check on her day. You call just to make sure the connection doesn't die. On the surface, it looks like effort, but psychologically, it sends the wrong message. Every time you reward her silence with your presence, you teach her something dangerous. She doesn't need to try. She doesn't need to initiate. She doesn't need to invest because you'll do it for both of you. Over time, your attention stops feeling special. It becomes expected. Human beings don't value what requires no effort. Think about it this way. If you buy a friend coffee every single day, at first he appreciates it. After a while, he expects it. Eventually, he doesn't even notice it. That's what happens when you constantly show up without being met halfway. Your effort turns into background noise. So the first step requires strength, not strategy. Stop rewarding her silence. Don't text just to fill the void. Don't call because she didn't. Don't show up in her inbox when she made no effort to show up in yours. Instead, let the silence exist. When you stop filling every gap, something shifts. Silence becomes noticeable when it's intentional. She feels the absence of your energy. She starts to wonder why you didn't reach out, and in that space, awareness begins. This isn't about punishing her. It's about protecting yourself. Because every time you chase silence, you lose a little self-respect. But when you step back calmly, you make a quiet statement without saying a word. My time, attention, and energy have value, and that kind of quiet strength changes the dynamic. Relationships are mirrors. Whatever energy you put in gets reflected back, either immediately or over time. When one person is constantly giving more than they receive, the mirror cracks. And once that happens, respect begins to fade. A woman doesn't lose interest because you're kind or caring. She loses interest when the effort becomes one-sided. When you're sprinting toward her and she's barely walking, the imbalance creates pressure, and pressure kills attraction. This is why matching her energy is so important. If she calls, you call. If she texts, you text. If she puts in effort, you reflect it back. But when she goes quiet, you don't break the silence just to prove loyalty. You don't chase to reassure yourself. That's where many men get stuck. They confuse showing interest with overcompensating. Interest comes from confidence. Overcompensating comes from fear. Matching her energy doesn't mean becoming cold or distant. It means staying balanced. Think of it like a dance. If one person is moving while the other stands still, it's not a dance anymore. It's awkward and uncomfortable. But when both move in rhythm, it feels natural and alive. When you start matching her energy, one of two things will happen. If she's genuinely interested, she'll feel the balance and lean in. She'll initiate more. She'll meet you halfway. But if she isn't truly invested, her lack of effort will become clear. Either outcome works in your favor. When you do all the work, you remove her opportunity to invest. She never gets to feel the excitement of reaching out or the satisfaction of being chosen. Matching energy gives her that space. Remember this, people respect those who respect themselves. When you mirror her effort, you're not playing games, you're setting a standard. And that balance is what keeps attraction alive. Think about how often your mood has been hijacked by a phone screen. You send a message, put the phone down, then pick it up again minutes later. No reply. Suddenly, your mind starts racing. Did I say something wrong? Is she losing interest? One unanswered message begins to control your entire emotional state. That's how men slowly lose themselves. The moment your happiness depends on how fast she replies, you've handed her power she never asked for. Your peace, your focus, and your confidence are now tied to someone who isn't even fully investing. And that loss of emotional control is visible, not just to her, but to you. Women are highly intuitive. They can sense when a man is anxious, when he's waiting, when his emotional balance depends on her attention. And instead of pulling her closer, that energy pushes her away. Attraction grows from strength and stability, not emotional dependence. So the solution is simple, but not easy. Take your power back. Stop staring at your phone. Stop refreshing the screen. Stop letting a notification decide your mood. Redirect that energy into your own life. Focus on your health. Train your body. Build your skills. Advance your career. Spend time with friends. Do things that remind you your world is bigger than one person's response. Here's the irony most men miss. When you stop obsessing, she feels it. You're no longer hovering. You're no longer instantly available. And that shift creates curiosity. She starts wondering what changed. She starts feeling the space you left behind. But even if she doesn't step forward, you still win. Because instead of draining yourself emotionally, you've been building something real, yourself. Your emotions are your responsibility. Never give someone else control over your peace just because they're slow to reply or refuse to initiate. You are not a slave to a ringtone. You're a man with purpose, direction, and value. Keep it that way. Here's something most men overlook. No one can miss what never goes away. If you're always texting, always calling, always available the moment she wants attention, she never gets the chance to feel your absence. And if she never feels your absence, she never fully recognizes your value. Attraction isn't built on presence alone. It's built on contrast. Think about anything you enjoy. When you have it constantly, it loses its impact. But when there's space, desire returns. The same principle applies in relationships. When you step back, you create room for curiosity, reflection, and appreciation. Many men fear this step. They think, if I don't keep reaching out, she'll forget me. But if someone forgets you simply because you stopped initiating, then the connection was never strong to begin with. It was being held together by your effort alone. Creating absence isn't about punishment or manipulation. It's about restoring balance. It's about allowing her to experience the silence she's been creating. When you stop filling every gap, she's forced to decide whether she wants to step forward or let the connection fade. And this is where clarity appears. She notices the missing messages. She notices the calls that stopped. She feels the space where your attention used to be. Often, that's when effort finally shows up. She reaches out, she checks in, she becomes present. And if she doesn't, you've gained something just as valuable: truth. Absence also protects you. It keeps you from overinvesting in someone who hasn't earned it. It prevents emotional burnout and mental exhaustion. So let absence do what words cannot. Step back calmly. Give her the space to recognize your value or reveal that she never truly did. Either way, you walk away with clarity and self-respect intact. Sometimes the hardest part isn't rejection, it's uncertainty. She never texts first, yet she replies when you do. She answers your calls, but never initiates them. That gray area keeps you stuck, hoping things will change while slowly draining your energy. The only way out of confusion is clarity. Testing her interest doesn't mean playing games or creating drama. It simply means stopping yourself from carrying the entire connection. You pause. You step back just enough to see what happens when you're no longer doing all the work. Stop being the first to text every morning. Stop being the one who always calls at night. Stop making all the plans. Then observe. If she's genuinely interested, she'll notice the shift. She'll feel the space and move toward it. She'll reach out, check in, or initiate contact because she doesn't want to lose the connection. But if she doesn't, her silence will match yours. And as uncomfortable as that truth may be, it's still better than living in confusion. Because silence, in this case, is an answer. This step is powerful because it removes the need for explanations or confrontations. You don't have to ask where you stand. Her actions will show you clearly. Interest doesn't hide for long. It reveals itself naturally. Yes, it can sting to realize she may not care the way you hoped, but clarity saves you time, energy, and self-respect. It stops you from investing months into someone who was never choosing you. So stop guessing. Stop hoping. Let her actions speak. When the effort is real, you'll feel it. When it's not, you'll see it just as clearly.